being here today. I see Ashley's here, and Ashley, I would love to know your company and what your specific role is there at your company.
Hi, everyone. I'm Ashley Thompson, a recruitment specialist at AIM Services in Saratoga Springs, New York.
Oh, wow, great. Thank you so much for joining. I'm so glad that you were able to come today. So today's webinar is on turnover intention and emotional intelligence. And I'm Dr. Abby Hamilton, industrial organizational psychologist and the principal scientist here at EQMatch. Before we start, we're going to have a quick poll question for you, and this will be just something to think about. Go ahead and answer the question on your screen, and that way we get a chance to see where we start. Okay, great. So, yeah. Yep, we are seeing high turnover. There's no doubt. And then we're going to go ahead and do this other poll a little bit later. Okay, so yes, turnover intention. What is that anyway? It's the employee's decision to leave a company or organization. And that turnover rate of millennials is higher than previous generations, according to Gallup polls. And on top of that, the pandemic has shifted the patterns and increased turnover rates, making it a higher priority for company leaders and our HR professionals. Are you ready for the massive job turnover? Forbes mentions that 2021 is going to be bringing on a massive job turnover called the Great COVID Job Churn. People are so sensitive to change, and that's just the way we're programmed. And now they're starting to reevaluate their lives, look at their priorities, and it's causing higher quit rates. We're seeing it all over. Already, the 2021 Bureau of Labor Statistics report shows an overall turnover rate of 57.3%. Companies are crumbling all around us, right? And 29% of that is involuntary turnover, which is obvious because of the recent uh, happenings in the world. But 25% of that is voluntary turnover. Since employees are the most valuable asset of an organization, to lose 25% is a significant loss. Looking at the picture there, that's a big chunk of our companies. And not only are you, the HR professionals, affected, but the company is affected in so many ways. Effects of high turnover are high cost, low morale and productivity, and even lost clients and poor work. And so let's look a little closely at each of these effects. The Society for HR Management says that the employee replacement cost can be as high as 50 to 60% of a person's annual salary. In a study by Spark Bay with even more shocking results, says that for entry level employees, it's 30 to 40% of their annual salary. At mid level, it's 150% of their annual salary. And unbelievably, at the highly skilled level, replacement cost is 400% of the annual salary. So that is just like the picture shows, money flying out the window. When employees are leaving the company, what happens to the other employees who are left behind? They experience a drain because of that increased workload, and they also feel the absence of their former colleagues, people that they might have shared stories with, and people that they once collaborated with. They're gone now. And there's a transition to get to know these new employees. There are major emotions and feelings involved with high turnover. And what about that workload? Someone has to fill the gap, and it takes time for those new employees to be found in the first place, right? I know you're dealing with that. hired and then trained. Not only does high turnover eliminate our employees, which is, remember, the company's greatest asset, but it impairs the performance of the remaining employees. High turnover also affects the quality of the company's offerings because those new employees need time to not only learn the skills they need for their job, but to build that skill to a point of expertise. And so they make errors, and the other employees who are overloaded can make errors as well. We're only human. Clients are lost, and the company suffers. And so many experts provide ways to decrease turnover. And I'm sure these are things that companies, including yours, are already doing. Let's take a look. Create a culture of engagement. They're always talking about employee engagement, right? Appreciate and reward those employees. Encourage respect in the company. Offer fair compensation. Build happiness. Offer potential advancement. Okay, so we are constantly hearing these different things, and if companies are already doing these things, why is turnover still increasing at alarming rates? There's something more involved here. Employees are humans. If you worked to build their happiness and did everything you could to build their happiness, their human nature is still going to make them unhappy in the face of challenges. If you work so hard to encourage respect in the company, something's going to happen to change that in the blink of an eye. The people start leaving the company. And how are you supposed to constantly navigate the changes in these employees' minds so that they don't all leave? It's all on you, right? But there's a solution. This is where emotional intelligence can come in and provide a great solution for decreasing that turnover intention. So now we're going to do a quick poll. You're going to see a question on the screen. Go ahead and answer that question so we can see where we are in the room. You see that question? Andre, do we have our poll question coming up here? Okay, thank you. Right. So, okay, so it looks like we've got our responses in and yes, some of us are aware of the fact that turnover intention is related to emotional intelligence, but not everybody out there does. And when talking to some people, they think, emotional intelligence, it's a good thing, it's a good thing to have, but they don't really see that there's more power behind it. Res- Researchers Mio, Humphrey, and Keon conducted not just one study, but an analysis of 17 different studies done over the course of years, representing 5,004 participants, looking specifically at turnover intention, and found that when employees' emotional intelligence is high, the turnover intention is low. So it's confirmed with the research. Emotionally intelligent, let's look at how this works, okay? Emotionally intelligent individuals recognize their emotions and then they manage their emotions. If they're feeling burned out, they recognize I'm feeling burned out right now. And then they can evaluate what is happening to make me feel burned out. And then they can find ways to snap out of that negative feeling because they can process what's happening. And that negative feeling that they are snapping out of is actually the feeling that would otherwise make them want to quit. Emotionally intelligent people are resourceful. They are able to find solutions to fix the problem rather than enter a state of hopelessness, which many people do if they don't have that emotional intelligence. They become desperate or even angry at their coworkers and at the company. So let's look at an example of this. So here's Linda. She has been the first to get to work each day and the last to leave for the past 2 months. And the demands in her job have changed and are just too much to handle. That's how it happens, right? They just add on, add on, add on more responsibilities, and no one realizes that it's too much for a person to handle. At the same time, then company leaders are telling her that the quality of her work is unacceptable. We wonder why, right? They tell her, you have to get your act together. And now you can understand why she's upset here in this picture. With emotional intelligence, Linda can realize that in this moment, she's feeling hurt and she's feeling overwhelmed. And then with her intelligence, she can look and evaluate the entire situation, recognize that the duties she has been given are too much for one person to handle. She would be able to overcome her negative response, her negative feelings of desperation and stress, and communicate with her instructor or with her supervisor to ask for guidance, ask for solutions. Linda, as an emotionally intelligent person, is someone who's committed to the company, and she will end up growing professionally even in the toughest environments. But without that emotional intelligence, she would burn out and she would leave the company. Emotionally intelligent individuals recognize the emotions that others are experiencing. They notice the people around them, and then they can help to manage the emotions of those other people. So let's look at an example of that. Especially now with the remote workplace, the skill of managing others' emotions is so important. Emotionally intelligent people have the skill to recognize when one of these team members on the Zoom screen is overwhelmed or upset or happy or irritated, and they don't just ignore it. It's so easy to just click out of the end of the Zoom meeting, right? And to just say, "Oh well, out of sight, out of mind." But emotionally intelligent managers and leaders and coworkers won't just ignore it. They understand that when emotions are down, effectiveness in the job is down too. Those emotions get in the way. So, communication and compassion will create an environment of support, which keeps the team going. And when people in the company have IQ or EQ, there is lower turnover in tension. It's also important to focus on leaders' emotional intelligence. There was a study with a sample of 927 frontline bank employees, and it confirmed that leaders with high emotional intelligence had the role to influence the employees' decisions to leave a company. Hmm. So even if the employees didn't have the emotional intelligence to stick it out, a leader with high emotional intelligence can influence the the turnover intention at the lower levels. So, a company leader with high emotional intelligence can recognize and imagine his own emotions and control his own behavior. He doesn't look like this. We know that there are so many leaders out there who can't control when they feel like blowing up, and they're in boardrooms all over all over the place, all over the world. And we also know how this ends, right? These two employees in the picture are not going to stick around for this kind of treatment. Their resumes are posted on the internet right now, and they are on their way out. A company leader with high emotional intelligence can recognize and manage the emotions of others. So, see the leader here who was successful in building team enthusiasm at this meeting? She sees the emotions of this team and she knows that her influence on their feelings can make all the difference. In every single company, there are employees who are going to go through times when they're bitter, upset, stressed, or overwhelmed. Sorry. In every company, there are these employees, right? They have this feeling of stress or overwhelm. And when an employee knows that she is supported by the leader, she will work harder and she'll stay committed, even despite the hard times she's dealing with. A supportive, compassionate company leader has the emotional intelligence which can actually reverse turnover intention. So, how can you, as the HR leaders, increase emotional intelligence in the workplace? There is something within your control. First is increase awareness by assessment. When you assess emotional intelligence in your employees, you automatically raise awareness in their own minds of what their emotional intelligence is. When employees see their strengths and then they see their opportunities for improvement, they'll begin to understand their behavior and they'll be able to see their own potential for change. They can seek to improve in various categories of emotional intelligence, like we've been talking about, such as recognizing their own emotions, managing their own behavior and emotions. They can improve in the categories of recognizing other people's emotions and managing other people's emotions. Another way that HR leaders can increase emotional intelligence in the workplace is to provide training. Employees who want to become more skilled in their jobs and in their own lives would be interested in training that helps them navigate their challenges and become more effective in their work. If there were seminars or interactive learning workshops on topics like resilience, how about conflict management? Employees would love to hear better ways to deal with situations in their workplace. How about being more influential or confident or having positive attitudes or just basic communication techniques in the workplace? These employees would come to these interactive workshops or trainings so that they could build their emotional intelligence, and you, by providing that training, increase the overall emotional intelligence within your organization. You can also increase emotional intelligence at your company by focusing on leaders and potential leaders. Like we said earlier, leaders have the ability to change turnover and tension among the team members. And leaders with high emotional intelligence also influence other aspects of the team, such as job performance and team performance. And this is all covered by the research, as we will continue to bring these up throughout our seminars and even on our content on our website. You'll see that the high emotional intelligence of leaders is effective in so many other ways. Another interesting finding in the research is that when a manager had higher emotional intelligence, the employees who had lower EQ still had high job satisfaction. And if these employees are the ones who would be more likely to leave because of their low EQ, the manager's skills actually carried the weight of the employee's low emotional intelligence. So focusing on that leaders, focusing on the leaders has a huge, powerful ripple effect over others and ultimately the company's success. In the hiring process, while hard skills are often a main focus, assessment of emotional intelligence can provide more peace of mind to you and to the company leaders that the new employees are going to come in with the skills to stay committed to the company and endure the hardships which might otherwise make them leave. Not only will they have low turnover and tension, but emotionally intelligent employees also have lower occupational stress They have better job performance, better conflict management, better team performance, better organizational citizenship behavior, and better mental and physical well being. And this is all shown in the research related to emotional intelligence. Turnover intention is just one of the many topics and matters that fill your minds as HR professionals. And I'm so glad that you attended today to learn a little bit more about how emotional intelligence can be a solution for you. It is an important factor for turnover intention and so many other aspects that you deal with in human resources. I want to thank you so much for joining us today for this presentation. For more information about EQMatch in general, you can go to our website, eqmatch.co. That's eqmatch.co. And you can find us now on LinkedIn and Twitter and Facebook and Instagram. And now at this point, I would love to invite you to share your own questions or even insights based on this topic or anything that I've said today. If you have something to say, you can go ahead and unmute and jump in. All good? Okay, well, we always welcome your communication. Please feel free to reach out to us, email back. You have received emails from us, so I would love for you to email us back. Let us know if you have any other questions or would like to hear more topics. I thank you so much for coming. I'm Abby Hamilton with EQ Match. Have a great day.